Hey everybody, welcome to week 7. So I know I'm a day late on updating this video, but I recently got all of our grades in. So you should be able to see those in the grade book now. Also, early semester progress reports are coming out soon, so you should also be getting copies of those or some notification about that in your email over the next few days. So that'll give you a good idea of sort of your progress and what's going on. I will say there were a lot of people who just haven't turned anything in. I'm going to assume those people have dropped the class, but if not, please get in contact with me. Um, if you have a 0 on the Project 1 grade, there were several projects. Let me pull these up so you can see them really quick. There were several projects that just were not named, and I didn't know who to give that grade to. Now, some people uploaded an updated version of it, so like, this one here, I think Carson updated his version just with a new version with a name. Thank you for doing that. But then I have like a zip file that just says bridge, and then this one here that's just bridge render, and I don't know who those are. And bridge render is actually not a bad piece. So if this is yours and I didn't, and you got a 0 on that, that's because I didn't know this was yours. So let me know if I missed that, and I can always update that grade. So but hopefully the grades are caught up. We still have week 7 discussion to do, but that's not on there. And you should be able to find those in the grade book in D2L. So let's hop into D2L now and sort of see what we got ahead of us this week. So we go to the content section. Oh, we're not week 15. We are week 7. So I know this is going by pretty quickly. I do want to, before we jump into week 7, let's look in the course info here under course schedule, and you'll see that we're in week 7. Next week, week 8, will be, so week 7 we're going to be going over some modeling techniques. So we're going to create some more complex 3D models. Next week we're going to be looking at some more complex lighting and rendering and texturing techniques. And then the following week is spring break. Now, I recognize that that's not the case for everybody. Some people may be taking this as dual enrollment from a high school or something like that. And if your spring break is on a different week, you're just going to have to balance accordingly. What may happen is maybe your spring break is week 8. And what that means is you should probably try to get the discussion done, but what you would end up doing is some of the catching up of the work with the texturing and stuff like that, you would do that during our spring break week. I'll be available to answer email questions on the spring break week, on and off, but I may not always be sitting in front of a computer. So feel free to email me questions. What I would advise is using, if you have any free time or you're just sitting around bored, using some of that spring break week to catch up. Maybe you have a revision you're wanting to submit for Project 1 or something like that. This is a great time to catch up on that, or maybe you've even started falling behind a little bit on the modeling and texturing. If you're caught up, you could also use that time to sort of look ahead, because some of the rigging and animation in this are pretty complicated, and week 11 is a really challenging week. But what you will notice is, even though I don't have it listed here, week 7, this is where we are going to be starting Project 2. And you'll see Project 2 is a long one. It's not due until week 12. So it's the breakfast scene. So we'll talk about that as we jump in here. So let's go ahead and go back to our table of contents. And week 7, you'll see a couple of things here. We have some video lessons for modeling, and this is just where I spend a little time delving a little more deeply into how to make some complex models. Now, I don't want to be too confusing here. The modeling as a discipline is not something that the animation concentration strictly focuses on. If you're really liking modeling, there's a couple of different pathways to that. But I felt like it was worth spending a little time on modeling so we could have something interesting to animate. And so these are just some videos that kind of walk us through some basic modeling techniques. If we skip to the next page here, you'll see that, what did I just click on here? Oh, the breakfast files. So let me go back to the content to show you. So these breakfast files are sort of some starter files for you. And so if you click on them, it'll take you to a page where you can download a zip file. Now a zip file is not a Maya file. You'll have to extract this, and if you've forgotten how to do that, there's a video on that. I think back on week 1. So the bridge files here. I think I cover some of that in the lesson in here. Maybe. Oh wait, I bet it's in the discussion for week 1. So week 1's discussion. No, it's not. Oh, it's under week 2. I'm sorry. I gave you the files in week 1. Week 2, I think, is where we talk about how to possibly extract that file. Oh boy, I'm wrong there too, aren't I? I know it's in one of these folders. Oh, I bet it's under this, bridge assignment, project 1. And here's the example. I am at a loss of remembering which one this is in. So it maybe has been under week 1 again, and it was just under one of the video lessons files here. So viewport navigation, channel attributed time slider. I don't know. So anyway, what you will do is you will download this file, and then I would use a program called 7-Zip to extract it. 7-Zip is a free download. You can download it, and it'll extract all the files you'll need to your computer there. So in case I don't have the video up there and just thought that I did, click that little button, hit download, save this somewhere to your computer. Wrong thing. Save this. I will currently do it myself to my desktop. I have this temp folder I keep stuff in. Show in folder, and you'll see that breakfast is what I'm looking for. There it is. So I should be able to right click on this, go to 7-Zip, and say extract to breakfast. And what that's going to do is it's going to extract it all out, and then we have this breakfast folder. We have our scenes, and there's our base models, and all of the things that we'll need to get going. So I know it's in here, I just can't remember where it is right now, and I'm not going to make you watch me look for it. So let's go back to week 7. So we have the video lessons, we have the breakfast files we need, and then we have a discussion topic where I just want you to share some of your progress. So 2 images of your models from different angles. So if you've been, you'll have already watched the videos, you'll probably already have started modeling like your milk carton or one of those objects. This is where you can upload images of those just to get some feedback. So feedback is how we really improve our work, and I know it feels like feedback can be difficult, like you ask for improvement or you ask for feedback and people tell you how to improve it, but sometimes that can feel like an insult, like they're just picking on your work. Try to think of it as as them trying to help you succeed, right? And so you should go ask for feedback in that mindset. How can I make this better, right? Because the whole point of all of this is to get better. So week 7, look here. So we're also, this is part of kicking off the larger Project 2 project. So it's a pretty big project. And I'll let you read through all the details of it, but this is a pretty simple video of what it is we're going to be making. Right? What I've given you is the cereal box, a bowl, and a spoon. Right? So the purpose of this project is to allow you to explore more complex modeling, effects, and gain more experience at rigging and animation. What you're going to do, you're going to use the provided breakfast scene as a starting point, and you're going to add the following elements. So you need a fully textured open box of cereal. So you already have the box, but you can texture it yourself. I believe you already have the box in that file. So we're going to texture it, and I will be giving you some texture files later this week too, or next week too. We're going to rig and animate a spoon. So the spoon file is already in there. You're going to create your choice of at least 3 additional object models to complete the scene. The 3 that I end up creating is the coffee cup, a little orange juice cup, and a jug of milk. I also end up creating some little napkins to lay around the background. You have to have at least 3 of those, and you'll also animate and simulate cereal pouring out of the box. And then finally we'll light and render the scene, and so your animation should be 7 to 10 seconds at 24 frames per second. So here's an example of what you're going to get out of this project. And it's playing a little bit low res because of the frame rate, but let's watch it again. That's a little bit better. There we go. And so that's what we're working toward. So it's graded just like Project 1 was graded. You should be able to see this when you go look at your grades as this rubric. If I right click and open it in a new tab, you'll see that we have these different criteria. And what I do is I just look at your file and I go down and sort of rate it on each of these scales. Now, the scales are a little bit different. The criteria is different in this project than it was Project 1. We have modeling as the first criteria, texture, lighting, and rendering, the cereal simulation, the spoon rigging and animation, and then the overall presentation. How does the whole thing sort of feel as a finished piece? And of course, you can get anywhere between 0 to 5 points on each of those criteria. The highest score you can make is 25 points. So let's go back here and look. When this is going to be due is 11:59 p.m. on Sunday of week 11. And so let's go look at that. You'll see that just like with Project 1, week 11, forget week 11, you'll see the option for the submission in there. And so don't worry about this right now, but we're going to be working toward that date in order to have you something that is finished by that time. What I will say is that this is a big project. Like, it's, as we said, like, we're starting in week 7. It's not due until week 11, and it takes every day of it. Like, we got lots of work to be doing there. So if you start to fall behind or start to have issues, just let me know. Send me an email, and I'll be happy to help you work out the details or help you fix the problems you're having. Last few things I'll point out here. Here's a more detailed version of the rubric image. And then we still have this revision submission. So what you'll notice, if we go to the graded items here, if I go to, I need to change the date on it. Under revisions, a couple people have put in some extra files. Those weren't in there yesterday. So that's fine. I can look at those. So thank you, Carson, for doing that. But what you'll notice is I have this folder that just says graded at the top, and then I have a date on it. So whenever I do my grading, I create a new folder, and I'll drop these files in there after I've updated the grade. Okay? So if you go into this folder, because you can always go back to this folder and look in here, and this is empty, or everything has been moved into the graded folder, then you know that I've updated your grade. So if you go look at your grade and it's not been updated, maybe I missed something, or maybe it didn't change the grade that much, or maybe you didn't address the right things, but more than likely it will update the grade a little bit. So this is what happens in that revision folder, and I just update the grade until you're finished revising it. Something that I would say, like when we talk about this rubric should be able to tell you what you need to work on, right? Like, let's say you got 5s all the way across the board, except for your serial simulation was a 3, right? Well, that should tell you how to bring that grade up. Is you need to improve the serial simulation, and usually I'll put some notes in there to sort of help you a little bit, to guide you along on that. If you have specific questions, like, you can ask me based off of this rubric and say, hey, why did I get a 3 on the serial simulation? Can you tell me how to bring that up to a 5? What you should recognize is that if you have 1s across the board, that's still salvageable. You just need to bring each of these up. Right? You can improve the modeling a little bit. You can improve the texturing and lighting and rendering a little bit. The serial, each of those, and you can bring your grade up a little bit at a time. So hopefully that makes sense. So I am going to go ahead and stop this video. I know it's getting a little long, and I will pick this up here next week. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.